Max come up and explain where we're at, and then I would probably go from there.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Mr. Chairman, board members. Where we are this month is that over the last month or two, the planning board's consultants had reviewed a draft preliminary environmental impact statement prepared by the applicant addressing the items that were in the adopted scope of earlier this year, as well as the requirements of seeker. The planning board's consultants all issued comment memos. The planning board had an opportunity to review those, and the applicant went back and revised their document. All the planning board's consultants have reviewed this revised document. They all submitted that it was adequate for the purpose of public review at this time, which means essentially that the document addresses all the items in the scope, all the items required by the seeker statute, and the analyses were done in a proper fashion and can be relied upon for review by the public. So at this point, what you have before you tonight is a draft notice of completion and public hearing for the draft environmental impact statement, application of breaker Stony Point LP for development of the Eagle Bay mixed-use waterfront development in accordance with planned waterfront zoning district. This document essentially will notify all of the agencies and the public that this DEIS is ready for their review. And this is the substantive review section. So we're not looking to see if the information is provided. We're now here to comment on the information itself and the application itself. So if you agree with your consultants that the document adequately addresses the items in the scope and the seeker statute, you can adopt this tonight. It would establish a public hearing to be held on these premises at 7 p.m. on January 30th of 2020, and to allow for written comments on the DEIS to be accepted through February 14th of 2020. So we give a lot of time, really, beyond the holidays for the document to be considered, reviewed, and commented upon. This is a normal step taken throughout the seeker process in the review of a DEIS. And in the event that the comments that we receive on January 30th are more than we anticipated, that time frame can always be extended. But that is what right now we are anticipating as being required for adequate public review. Do you have any questions?
So, Max, so I know we talked about this, so this is just letting us know that that the draft is ready to be reviewed, and it'll be available for the outside agencies, the public, to review.
Yes. Now we're actually suggesting a three-pronged distribution. So we're recommending copies of the full document with appendices as digital format thumb drive, CD-ROM, or DVD-ROM to be distributed to the board members and all the reviewing agencies. We're then recommending that digital copy, the copy of the notice of completion along with digital versions of the documents themselves, volume 1 and the appendix, be distributed to all interested agencies, which are agencies that don't necessarily have approval authority but that may be interested. Those agencies are listed in the notice of completion draft. And lastly, during the scoping process, the planning board received comments from a number of individuals and institutions, and we're recommending that those institutions and persons get a copy of this document either through the post mail or through email, identifying where they can find the document on the website.
All right.
Now, this notice of completion, I think that's a fair and efficient way of distributing the document. This notice of completion also states that they may request a full paper copy of the document at their request. It also establishes that there should be 3 copies made available to the public, one at Town Hall and one each at the 2 libraries. Just to note that the paper copies to interested persons, not to involved agencies, but to interested parties and persons, if somebody requests a full paper copy, the lead agency does have the right to require a fee for printing.
All right. Now, Max, when will they be available?
That is really up to the applicant, but they really need to do it probably within a week for the secret timeframes to be valid.
To be valid.
Yeah, because it has to be available 14 days before the public hearing. I believe it's 30 days total. And it has to be at least 10 days following the close of the public hearing.
Right, following the close, all right. So we have this, Bill, any comments before? Steve? All right, so we just have to approve this.
Yeah, and I would just ask if the applicant is going to be prepared to do the mailings or to give us the documents to do the mailings.
Yeah, I just want to check with Dave back there because he's waiting at me, so.
Okay,
Thank
Dave.
you.
Basically, that's about 24 documents, so we'll probably start delivering them Tuesday at the latest. The documents that have CDs in them will fit in the FedEx, so we'll probably FedEx them. And when you get a sign off for that, we'll give that receipt to Mary. And then the ones around the county, we hand deliver. Most of the county agencies want hard copies, so they would get the 3 books that you guys looked at.
Right.
And a set of maps, and then, of course, when we deliver that to, let's say, the county planner, they sign off. And probably the longest thing will be to get it on the website, because we have to give it to the town, then they have to go to their website operator and put it on. But I would imagine everything will be finished before the end of next week, easily.
Is it those books you had in the back of your truck?
No,
He doesn't
I
have a big
sold
enough
them.
truck.
When we were here that day, those big books that we...
Yes,
Okay.
well, that's what it is. It's basically 3 books like that. It's a full.
And this is just what's this, the DEIS, right?
Yeah, it's the EIS and then all the reports
And all
that,
the
from your various.
And all the comments from
Yes,
whatever we had, okay.
yes, were addressed, yes. And then the maps. And then
And the maps.
that would lead me to January 23rd, which is I would like to submit a set of site plans for the regular meeting
Right.
and start that review with the board for the site plans, because we have ARB approval on the buildings. We also have ARB approval on the landscaping. And next Wednesday, we're going for the lighting. And then we have a few other things that we have to do, like the fishing pier and some of the benches and the trash containers. But we're working our way through the ARB, so we would like to start that review with the board if you would put it on the agenda. So we would be on the 23rd for the site plan review and the 30th for the
There's a
special.
public hearing.
Right.
All right, so I just have a motion for this notice of completion and public hearing for draft environmental impact statement. I need a motion to,
Just a quick question. Penultimate paragraph, you say here residential units will be divided into at least 4 buildings. That
It is-
gives
it
me
is
the
4.
impression it is 4 buildings.
Yes,
So
it is
I'm
4.
questioning the word at least. Just,
it could be less.
it could be less, but.
It could change, but it wouldn't be more than 4.
It won't be
It
more.
don't fit.
Okay.
So one of the reasons why it was written that way is because there's an alternative presented in the EIS that goes back to the original breakers design that only had 2 buildings.
Right.
So the proposal on the floor is for 4,
Okay.
but we wanted to cover the alternatives, being that there could be 2. But those aren't alternatives that the applicant is seeking.
All right.
Thank
All right, so I have a motion for this, to get this draft out. I need a
I'll make the motion.
motion, I need a second.
Second.
All right, Mary, just pull us on this one, the notice of
Mr.
completion.
Joanne?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Chairman Whittlesey?
Yes. All right, so,
And then I think you need to set a special meeting
yeah,
for January 30th, because the regular planning board is going to be January 23rd.
all right.
And just to clarify something that was said, there's nothing that in seeker that prevents the planning board doing technical review of the site plan while it's undergoing the seeker review on the 23rd. But when you accept comments on the DEIS on the 30th, you should also be accepting comments on the plan. So if somebody wants to comment on the plan,
They can comment on
they can
the
comment on the plan
Not
on the
just
30th,
the-
not
not
just
just
the DEIS.
So
Okay.
we wouldn't be required to respond to that in the seeker context, just in the site plan context.
That would be a matter for when we're preparing the FEIS. So the FEIS will be prepared, a draft by you, but it's the planning board's document, so the planning board would determine whether they wanted to respond to
Okay.
those comments.
Mhm.
All right, thanks, Max.
You're welcome.
All right, so now I need a motion to set a special public hearing for January 30th for the EIS.
I'll make that motion.
Second, Paul, all in favor? Aye, opposed? All right, so January 23rd will be our regular meeting, then we'll go over the site plan. January 30th will be the special public hearing